Hey guys, you might have seen my previous top 10 Jean-Claude Van Damme facts on this channel. That video got taken down, but it's all good because number 10 on the video was erroneous. I talked about how he learned to speak English by watching the Flintstones growing up. It used to be a story that he went with for fun, but it's actually not true, which he stated in an interview a few years ago. But anyway, it's all good because I'm going to replace that fact with a better one for the top 10, one that's actually true. And of course I had to put the video back up because here's a fact. It would be a crime not to have a top 10 Van Damme facts on this channel. So anyway, I hope you enjoy this video with the top 10 facts on this awesome great man. So number 10 on the list is Jean-Claude Van Damme once worked as a bouncer at a bar owned by Chuck Norris. Woody's Wharf in Newport Beach. Van Damme and Chuck Norris go way back. In the early 1980s, Jean-Claude Van Damme had just moved to Hollywood and was doing some small jobs to make ends meet when he met Chuck Norris, who not only gave the young martial artist a job as a bouncer at his bar, but also gave him a small role in his film Missing in Action, which I always like to think of the film's title as having a dual meaning. One, obviously for the military personnel who have gone missing in action, and two, for Van Damme's role in the movie. Have any of you actually seen him in that movie? Let me know in the comments. So during this whole time around 1984, Van Damme and Chuck Norris trained together 3 days a week, and this footage here was taken in 1984 for a German television show. Don't you guys hate being the guy holding the pad, by the way? But I guess it's better than getting kicked without a pad. Number 9. Jean-Claude Van Damme was originally cast to be the Predator. There were various reasons why this never ended up playing out, but it does leave an interesting footnote in film history. Now, the original Predator was supposed to be stealthy and agile, which would have made Van Damme playing the role perfect. In fact, the casting director, Jackie Birch, said she thought she had just the guy to play Predator. She said Jean-Claude Van Damme was someone who used to constantly come into my office, jumping up in the air, showing me his moves, begging me for work. So finally I said to Joel Silver, the producer, he'd be great as the Predator because no one moves like him. I mean, he really is quite amazing. Overall, there are various accounts why Jean-Claude Van Damme never ended up becoming the Predator, including one account from himself. I'm going to do a whole video on that. That deserves a video in itself. But needless to say, the role in Predator, starring alongside Arnold Schwarzenegger, got Menahem Golan's attention, who eventually cast him into Bloodsport, and as they say, the rest is history. Number 8. Speaking of Bloodsport, the initial cut was so horrible, it just sat on the shelf for years. It was actually going to be released straight to video, but that's before Van Damme decided to re-edit the film himself. Is there anything this man can't do?
And we came back with this movie, and the movie was cut like a butcher. I mean, you see me jumping a tree, one shot, 60 in the air. This is the real stuff. At that time, no CGI. You see my vein bulging. I'm like 85 kilos of muscle, and they cut me in the middle, and they go from my kick to my face and back. So I saw the screening. I start to cry.
They'd basically cut the film as if it were for an actor that actually doesn't know martial arts and can't perform any of these stunts. Now, a movie like Bloodsport based in martial arts, you gotta remember it was a different time. We didn't really have the UFC or anything like that to showcase and to watch martial artists. All we had were the movies. We had Bruce Lee, we had Van Damme, we had Seagal. There was really no other arena to showcase martial arts ability, and for them to cut the film the way they did was really a shame. So I'm glad Van Damme took it upon himself to re-edit the film. It was really a showcase of his ability and talent, and audiences just ate that up. We never really had a guy at the time that looked like him, that could move like him. This was perfect for the Western audience. So number 7. Van Damme himself has described himself as the Fred Astaire of karate. It's that gracefulness. So he was actually trained for years in ballet and was offered to dance professionally. It was definitely that ballet training combined with his karate skills that made him into what he is. In fact, since he's not the tallest guy out there, he's about 5'8", 5'9", he said he needed that flexibility to really kind of get an advantage with his legs to reach those taller opponents. And he'll be the first to admit and speaks highly of the training helped him increase the balance and flexibility. Really, really good combination if you want to develop those kicks. Number 6. Jean-Claude Van Damme married a Miss Olympia competitor, Gladys Portuguese. The important thing to remember during that era, the women bodybuilders weren't overly sized. They still looked very feminine. Here's a couple of pictures of Gladys, for example. Interestingly, the two actually met at a modeling shoot, photo shoot that is, and it was love at first sight, at least for Van Damme. To say that their kids have amazing genetics is an understatement. Here's just a couple of pictures of his daughter. So aside from great genes, he also passed along that martial arts ability, the training. Number 5. Jean-Claude Van Damme was the original inspiration for Johnny Cage of Mortal Kombat. Shortly after the success of Universal Soldier, the producers approached Midway Games with the hopes of making a game based off of that movie, but Midway wasn't interested. They did, however, want to work with Jean-Claude Van Damme, so they worked out a deal with him to make a game more akin to his film Bloodsport. Unfortunately, that deal fell through, and they never finished working the project. But you could see a lot of the similarities between Johnny Cage and Jean-Claude Van Damme. For 1, the initials. For 2, the actual outfit in the game. For 3, kind of the history of the character. Hollywood star that people weren't really taking serious as a martial artist. Now, Jean-Claude Van Damme, it was later found out that he actually did have a pretty impressive full-contact karate competitive background. So yeah, he was the real deal. So some other interesting tidbits here. A Universal Soldier video game was actually made, not developed by Midway, but rather Accolade. And in an interesting turn of events, he actually played the lead role in Mortal Kombat's main competitor at the time, Street Fighter. So when they adapted that movie to film, it was all Van Damme and he played Colonel Guile. One last little piece of gaming trivia you may not know. Hideo Kojima of Konami actually modeled Solid Snake's body over Van Damme. So, a lot of inspiration when it comes to the world of video games that Van Damme has provided. Number 4. The man has his own statue, his own public statue in Belgium. How many people can say that about themselves, having a statue crafted after themselves? Now, Belgium is known the world over with Belgian chocolates and also Jean-Claude Van Damme, so who's more deserving? He did kind of help put them on the map. Speaking of Belgium, he is known as the Muscles from Brussels. Brussels, Belgium, that is. That's a nickname he actually never liked because he always equated mussels with the actual little animals that live in the ocean, not so much the muscles he has on his body, so he never liked that nickname. So the statue was unveiled in 2012 and was commissioned to commemorate the 40th anniversary of the Westland shopping complex. The unveiling was, of course, attended by Van Damme, his parents, and also the cultural minister, and nearly 2,000 fans. Van Damme said the statue represented the dream of a Brussels kid and was for all the children who want something bad, adding that if you believe in something strongly enough, it can come true. That's definitely an inspiration for all of us, and there's no reason why any of our dreams can't come true as well. Number 3. Van Damme actually had his own reality show. It was called Jean-Claude Van Damme, Behind Closed Doors. It provided some interesting insight into his family life. Now, it was only on for one season in 2011, primarily in the UK, but if you can find it, it's highly recommended. In fact, IMDb gives it an 8.4 out of 10, which for IMDb standards, that's actually pretty high. The show was really entertaining, so if you can find it, definitely check it out. One of the more interesting aspects about the show was Van Damme was really gearing up for an upcoming kickboxing match against Cam Singh, champion. That would have been something if that actually happened. That fight did not actually take place, but the reality show was kind of leading up to that, and never took place, unfortunately. Number 2. Jim Carrey actually got Van Damme blacklisted from Hollywood. Well, maybe not directly. Let me explain. After his success with Time Cop, Van Damme was well on his way to becoming an A-list bankable star. He actually got a 3-picture deal from Universal for $12 million a movie, $36 million in total. But after finding out how Jim Carrey was making $20 million a movie, he demanded the same. Kind of backfired on him. Now bear in mind, during this time he did actually have a pretty bad cocaine habit at the time, so he was probably a little bit irrational in the way he demanded that sort of payday. We also got to keep in mind that his style of action here, along with Arnold and Stallone, was on their way out. The writing was on the wall ever since Bruce Willis's everyman type character from Die Hard became so successful. Van Damme claims, "I tried to play the system. I was blacklisted." He was motivated by how much Jim Carrey was making at the time, so in a way, you could kind of say Jim Carrey got Van Damme blacklisted from Hollywood. Speaking of Die Hard, by the way, since that movie was so successful, there were many rip-offs. Van Damme actually starred in one himself called Sudden Death. They billed it as Die Hard in the ice skating rink, or something like that. If you guys haven't seen it, it's definitely worth checking out. Powers Booth plays a villain. He's spectacular in it. And of course, Van Damme is insanely good, but that goes without saying. Number 1. Although broke and homeless at one point while living in Hollywood, he had to chase his dream. But did you know prior to coming to this country, he was really successful in Belgium? In fact, he had opened a gym called the California Gym, and he brought that kind of atmosphere and that kind of environment to Belgium, something that no one's ever seen, and he was wildly successful in pursuing that. So it was definitely ahead of its time, and he had a lot of success, but he wanted more. He wanted what really made him happy. He always grew up watching the movies and dreamt of being on the big screen himself someday, so he moved to America and sacrificed a lot, but in the end, it all worked out for him. And it worked out for us as well. There are millions of people, including myself, that have been inspired and entertained. Thank you, Jean-Claude. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed those facts. If you're a fan of this kind of content, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time.